Hello. Yeah, it's a privilege to come and to give you my testimony today. Um, I'll just give you a bit of background on my life. I had a privileged life, privileged upbringing, and then basically my dad lost it all. So yeah, there was that combination. So yeah, I had horses when I was younger. That is like one of the happiest memories of my life, and it's just I feel blessed to have those memories with my mum. I didn't have her for that long. She died when I was 13, but we had such a good quality relationship, and we went to shows together, and yeah, we were always together. She was an amazing mum. She was a mum that was at home and she was present with us. We felt very, very loved, myself and my brother. And yeah, so she died when I was 13, which was quite a very difficult time in my life. And my dad, bless him, didn't really know how to cope with it. And, we sort of spent the next couple of years eating out a lot and things like that. My dad got further into, he was drinking a lot, it was in the pubs, not our home, but he was, it got to the point where a lot of nights he was drinking. And sometimes we were at home on our own, and I can remember sometimes that was quite scary. I even remember a time when me and my brother got our guns out, 12-bore shotguns pointing at the window, because we were fearful. And my dad's drinking, that didn't help. He wasn't particularly nice to me. And I look back, I completely forgive him for all of that now, because it must have been so difficult for him. And I was a 13-year-old teenager. Through the course of time, my dad probably, I think, I was about 17, and then we had to sell our big house in Walthamstow, so we moved to Maidenhead, which was, lovely. But I'd started smoking when I was literally when I was 13, and sort of started smoking weed. My dad got cancer when I was about 20, so I had his voice box removed. And so all of his conversations were writing things down. That was how he could communicate, because he couldn't speak. And I often used to find bits of paper. He'd say, Alison's a loser and she's going to come to no good. She's mixing with the wrong people. She's a druggie, and all these really awful, negative, judgmental comments, which wasn't helpful to me, because I didn't have that love and have anybody to make me feel confident and make me feel loved, and it's almost like I had that love when I was younger, and then through a period of time, I actually felt quite unloved. And I moved out of home because I was not getting on well with my dad at all. And then I was told that he had weeks or months left to live. So by that time, I moved back home. But by then, I was taking ecstasy. I was involved in more into drugs and drug dealing. And basically, I was taking any and every drug possible, almost. So then my dad passed away. And, so then I'll fast forward, still in addiction, taking a lot of cocaine every single day. So I'd been in addiction for a long time by the time I got to 40. Had my son, and that is where my walk with Jesus started. So I wasn't really that mad on having children, but I knew in that delivery room I encountered Jesus, I encountered God. It was like a light had gone on in me. I knew that God existed. I knew that it was the God of the Bible. I knew it was Jesus. And it was just a light bulb moment. I must admit, I thought, oh my goodness, I really don't like Christians. I just don't. I think they're the most judgmental people. They really look down on people, and it's almost like they think they're better than everybody. I really, really felt like that. Anyway, so for the next year of having Aidan as a baby, and I literally didn't have anything to do with any of my friends. So I was on my own. Literally, it was just on my own with God and with my son, because I knew that I didn't want to associate with those people that were taking drugs. And I had had a supernatural experience. I had met with the Lord, and that spirit of addiction had just left me. I just feel very, very privileged and blessed that the Lord lifted that off of me in that way. Since then, my relation, and then I'll just go back to that. So for the first year, I was at home, I was reading the Bible, I was praying every single day. Well, not even every single day. It wasn't orchestrated, like, I'm going to get up in the morning, I'm going to pray now, then I'll pray at night. It wasn't organised at all. I was there on my own all the time, and I was talking to God all the time. I kind of got the Bible out and I looked at all the different scriptures, you know, of how to bring up a child, because all I knew was all the people that I knew that had children were addicts. You know, that's not the model that I wanted to use. You know, so I was joined all these internet groups to kind of, you know, what the expectations at different ages and advice and things like that. And the Bible, that was it. That was how I brought my son up, you know. So completely different upbringing to me, completely different. And it was amazing. And then I started to go to church, which I have to say I was quite blown away. I thought, oh my goodness, that's not what I expected at all. And, you know, but to be fair, every single church I've been to, and God has moved me around, crikey, 6 times I've moved since I've been a Christian, and that's 14 years, so 6 times in 14 years, moved to different towns. But I've always found a little group of Christians in each church, and that's my church family. And that I'm still in contact with them, and I'm really blessed by the people that God has put in my life. And I honestly, even when I look back in my life, I just know that God had his hand on my life. And I feel like the most blessed woman ever. You know, even when people say to me, oh, that was terrible losing your mum at that age. And I'm like, but I had that beautiful relationship with her. I'm grateful for the mother that I had. And, you know, that instilling of love, because I believe that pure love that, for instance, I've got for my son, and I always thank God for that love for my son, I know is from God. I absolutely know it is. And so from a very early start in my Christian walk with Jesus, I kind of took God at his word, you know, and that is how I've lived my life. You know, I'm not saying that I don't make mistakes. Of course I do. But, you know, I pray every morning for God to literally fill me, top me up, because I believe that God is in us as Christians, but top me up so I'm more of God and less of me. And, you know, and I see how God uses me, and I'm not thinking, oh, how can I do this? How can I do that? No. Just when there's an opportunity to be kind, to be loving, to pour out love upon somebody, to help somebody, I will use what I'm doing now, my testimony, and I can tell of God's goodness. And he's an amazing God. And I am so, so grateful that I'm in a relationship with God. You know, I am just really blessed. I'm even grateful for my bed. You know, I get into bed and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. You know, I'm all snuggly and warm. I feel freezing at the moment. But, you know, just, yeah, I thank God that I've even got this opportunity here to speak to you guys and just tell you, you know, if you don't know the Lord, you know, speak to somebody, because I tell you what, he transformed my life and he can transform yours. He's an amazing God, full of love for each one of us.